Yeah. Woo. Come on.
We're actually live.
Oh, good. For nobody. Live. Oh, from the Glass Lewis Underground Cornhole Fight Club. Ugh. What the hell is that?
I would join that. I'm not going to lie. I really like playing cornhole.
It's the ESG industry's only weekly woke data podcast featuring BS man Matt Moscardi.
Yeah, just featuring me, which is not that interesting.
Today's endlessly stupid gas fest called May 31st. 2023. Ultra nerdy ESG headlines, a weekly woke police blotter, and a word from our sponsor about CEO pay rises. Because he's British. He says pay rises. Because, he's British,
he says rises? Yeah. I don't...
No, it's okay. I checked our bylaws. It's allowed.
Is it woke to say rises?
No, because the UK, they're pro-Brexiteers, so they're anti-woke, so I think it qualifies.
This is so confusing. Do shout out to our sponsor.
Our show today is being sponsored by S-Gage, your ESG data solutions provider.
Now, when we say your, are we talking to our listeners? Our listener?
To be fair, this is what they what they told us to say. So I don't weigh in on any of this. This was the sentence they sent me.
I want to know who your is, because we looked at their data. We used their data and board sabermetrics, the thing that measures the power and performance of every board member in the entire world. We use S-Gage data to do that. And I don't know why, if you're not using it, why aren't you? So see how many yous there are?
You're a terrible person.
Is all I'm saying. I'm a great person.
Let's do this.
All right. Yeah, what are we doing? I don't know what's going on.
I already told you.
I'll do something. I wasn't listening.
This is for all you board analysts out there. Some things to talk about at your upcoming meeting. Things to impress your boss with. A bunch of recent news headlines in the ESG world. Ready? No particular order. You ready, Matt?
I mean, yeah.
Let's start at the top with the most boring, the alternative democracy. Matt, 2023 say on pay.
So hard.
2023 say on pay. The current failure rate, the amount of companies that have failed say on pay is down to 1.5%. That's down from 3% last year. So I guess somebody's winning. Who's winning?
So
the CEOs are winning.
Are we not saying on paying? That's basically where we've moved to.
You'll see there's a trend in this update.
Say nothing on pay.
The trend in this update is I guess people are scared by the anti-ESG crowd. Russell 3000 support at its highest level of support since 2017. So 91% of all votes are saying yes on say on pay. Despite an influx in headlines angry about CEO pay.
Well, can we also say that Strive Asset Management votes no on every pay? Is there an anti-woke effect in which now we're saying because the anti-woke vote against pay on for everything, we have to not vote with them? So don't. I mean, is it just that? Or is it rejection?
And for those of you new to our show, the reason why they are voting against say on pay is that any link to ESG in a company's pay plan, they automatically reject. They reject the whole plan. Any link.
Yeah. Every link. And, it's hard because G is in there.
Yeah, it's hard.
So that means, literally anytime you do anything to govern a company, that's linked to your pay, and or your employees are in there. Everything's kind of in there. So it's real hard. They vote against everything.
By sector, energy leads with the most yes votes for say on pay with 96% support. Energy, 96% support. And
they made a lot of money. We love when energy makes money.
IT lags, only 65% of support in IT.
Oh, that's sad. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg is worried?
They're not making money in IT. I guess they had a bad year last year, but they're on the up this year, right?
Except for all the AI this year. How
about this one? ISS against recommendations have gone down from 14% last year to 7% this year. So they're scared. They're scared of somebody. What happened?
What is happening?
Maybe hopefully Paul is listening. He can weigh on this in a future show. Maybe the policies have actually changed for the better. I mean, I doubt that, but maybe I shouldn't be so cynical. Okay.
I mean, I'm just going to go out on a limb and guess that is not the case.
So ISS is clearly caving to some kind of political pressure there. That's a pretty big drop. And finally, the average vote of support for director nominees is up to 95%. People are that happy, Matt. 95% of all votes for directors say, sure, why not?
I can't understand how. Look, we have data on every director. We know what the bell curve of director performance looks like. I cannot for the life of me understand how 95% of people agree on everybody.
Because shareholder activism is still not a real thing, other than if you're trying to take over the company. But for retail investors, it's still not a real thing.
But forget retail. This is the majority of shares are owned by institutions. Almost 60%
they
on
like
average.
Everybody.
A public company is owned by an institution.
When you're in the carpool lane, when you're dropping off your child at the same private school when the director is also, in that lane, it's kind of awkward to vote again. This is what our data proves: is that there's the networking here is quite runs deep.
That is awkward to wave at Jim as he drops off his daughter and be like, "Sorry, I voted against you."
Let's move on to stakeholders' rule. We have two big court decisions. First, Boeing. Remember Boeing?
Vaguely, yeah.
Boeing 737 MAX victims' families can seek compensation for pain and suffering. So,
wow.
So I had to really read this one 4 times because I'm not that bright. I didn't go to an Ivy League school. Matt, here's what they're saying. That they can sue for the pain and suffering that the victims face before the plane crash. So as the plane, and I'm not trying to make a joke here, as the plane was, descending to a horrible ending, their family members were suffering during that time. They can sue for damages for that suffering. The court has ruled specifically on the pre-crash suffering.
There are few things that are more terrifying in my brain than whatever those final moments were of those planes. I think that's.
And let's not forget, Boeing has already admitted responsibility for the crash, which is unusual in the corporate world, but they've contested factoring the victims' pre-crash pain and suffering into the damage. But why are they contest? I don't know. What are you doing? How do you contest that? I get that you're allowed to contest it, I suppose.
Hey, look, I bet you if we saw the director and officer insurance, it would say does not include pain and suffering as part of the payout, and that's probably why they contested.
So that's a win for stakeholders. On the other hand, which looks like a big loss for stakeholders, the Sackler family. Remember the Sacklers? The Sacklers?
I vaguely. Yeah.
The Sackler family wins immunity from opioid lawsuits. The billionaire owners of Purdue Pharma will be protected from lawsuits linked to the U.S. opioid crisis in exchange for a $6 billion settlement. But what it sounds like is this is being spun as a major win for the Sackler family.
So they cannot be sued for pain and suffering caused by opioid addiction.
And this is a lot more deaths than that crummy Boeing flight. Yeah.
Not only a lot more deaths, but a lot longer period of time of pain and suffering.
The crash suffering for your addicted nephew is quite a bit longer. Yeah,
it's. I
don't know why I'm
great.
poking fun at the nephews. I don't know why.
I don't know, but I don't know. This seems inequitable.
Yeah. Well, at least we got one win.
I have nothing to say about this. Both of these feel terrible.
Moving on to some woke data headlines. Speaking of CEO pay, this is a headline actually from the Associated Press. It would take a typical worker 2 lifetimes to rival the CEO pay of just 1 year, the median CEO pay. So even the Associated Press is picking up on our content, Matt. They're into us. They're into business pants and free float.
I mean, is a CEO worth 2 lives of employees?
I will say this: ISS doesn't care. They're not voting against say on pay. at the same rate.
Well, neither do investors. They're voting for them. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to back Strive. I think Strive is correct.
Voting no on Sam.
I think the default should be vote no. They're advisory votes anyway.
Right.
Does anybody listen to them? Has anybody ever clawed back some pay because of the advisory vote or changed
Paul.
it?
I've never seen clawing back pay. They adjust the policies just enough to appease the top 5 shareholders.
I mean,
That's about
even
it.
when they adjust them, they still make
nothing changes.
It doesn't seem to matter.
No.
So I don't know.
No, because when you rely on such a huge amount of equity annually, the CEOs are inevitably gonna hit a huge windfall when the stock price crashes. When pandemics happen, the executives are going to get super, super rich on those equity handouts.
The pandemic was a huge win.
I got a story about a very sad moment of Glass Cliff. A Glass Cliff sadness, I'm calling this.
Oh, this feels bad to
Here's
me.
the story.
Okay.
A headline is Carnage at one of Australia's big 4 accounting firms as 9 partners are stood down and CEO issues groveling apology. This is how it's being characterized in the press. CEO's groveling apology. So PricewaterhouseCoopers has been under fire after it was discovered one of its former heads of tax shared confidential Treasury information about tax changes with other partners, and the information was used to help win new clients. So who's the CEO?
Classic.
Yeah, who's the CEO apologizing, Matt? It's a woman, of course, named Kristen Stubbins, who is the acting CEO who took over just a few weeks ago for the man who actually created the mess. And that would be Tom Seymour. So the press... The business news, nobody even cares about this one little footnote. They're putting the crap on her doorstep. She's just the Glass Cliff CEO.
Yeah, I mean, the groveling now.
That's unfortunate.
The choice of word groveling
with a
feels...
massive picture of her. Clearly, they took the worst picture they could find of her.
Oh, come on. Why is a picture of the guy who did it?
I have an interesting side note here that's only interesting to me. I went to both of their LinkedIn pages, Kristen Stubbins, the acting CEO, and then the fired CEO, Tom Seymour. Only Kristen has updated her account, so she's put in acting CEO, but the guy who resigned, he doesn't even go to his LinkedIn to update his page. He's still the CEO.
He's still the CEO? Yeah. Oh, well, then he should take some credit.
Arnold Schwarzenegger wants to rephrase climate change. He says as long as they keep talking about global climate change, they are not going to go anywhere because no one gives a shit about that. So my thing is, let's go and rephrase this and communicate differently about it and really tell people we're talking about pollution. Pollution creates climate change, and pollution kills. So, Matt, here's why I bring this up. What happened to us? What's our problem? We promised we're going to kill the acronym. We didn't do that. When are we going to rephrase?
How do we do it?
I think Arnold's right. I think we did talk about this in the past, that the climate change it's stupid to call it that. Climate crisis we thought was a bit better. But I like this. Pollution kills.
No, but do you remember it was global warming?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it was pollution first, and then it was global warming, and then they rebranded to climate change. And climate change was a way to sort of inoculate conservatives against it.
Yeah, for saying because pollution was too heavy-handed.
Pollution
Disregard
was
the black smoke.
There's no way to say that black goo coming out of my thing is affecting the world or the environment. So it's had a branding problem.
But where are we,
forever.
Matt? You're you're evading the big question. Why haven't we killed the acronym? What's wrong with us?
Well, look, we're forced to sort of lean into the acronym
now. We are
because the acronym has been weaponized. We were on the road to killing it, and then everyone was like, "ESG is woke," and now we have to lean in and be like, "No, you idiot! It's not. It's a different thing." So we got ruined by
now
forces
we love
beyond
our
control. Yeah. Do we love it? I don't know if love it's the right way.
Let's end my segment of really ultra horrible, nerdy ESG headlines with a quick section on CEOs rule. Do I get a bell for that or anything? Harp or nothing?
Do you want a bell?
No, these are really stupid. First of all, Elizabeth Holmes is in prison.
Oh, that's...
I guess. I mean, the clapping sounds a little sad, but that's the audience. It's not us.
I'd say it's like a golf clap.
The headline, of course, the Business Insider has the best headlines when it comes to CEOs. Elizabeth Holmes faces 6 a.m. wake-up call and making her own bed. I do both of those things. I have 2 children. I've been waking up early forever, and I make my. I mean, what are we talking about here? This is a punishment.
I mean, she tried to have 2 kids to get out of this.
Yeah, she has 2
That's
young
how much
kids.
she didn't want to make her bed.
Waking up early.
She didn't want to make her bed so badly that she had 2 children to avoid it.
How about this headline? Also Business Insider, shockingly. Jeff Bezos is ripped now.
This is not a new headline.
I know,
that's
but
old.
I still like it. And finally, okay, again, sorry, listening audience, another one from Business Insider. Lazard, we talked about the succession change at Lazard. Lazard's new CEO, Peter Orszag, once inspired a fan blog called orzagasm.com.
First of all, I want you to say that every day.
Peter Orszag. So it's
Orzagasm.
Orzagasm. Yeah. How about that?
Why?
We don't talk about the sex appeal of our CEOs enough, so maybe we should start.
I think we could start right now.
Wait. We talked about this app that rates the hotness, right? Weren't we going to run the directors through this hotness app?
We were there. So there is an AI-based website that just scans your picture and says whether you're and matches you. It gives you a score, 0 to 10 score on how hot you are, and then it matches you with people of that score if you wanted to. Now, it's a little dubious that thing actually does anything except assign a random
I don't want to hear
score.
anything negative. It's all genius. It's all wonderful.
This is all for fun. Well, it's worth saying. The only thing we're saying about Lazard is we covered Lazard, 2 weeks ago, where we talked about their succession planning and how they sort of like leapt over potentially better candidates for internal
How do you get
CEO.
better than a former Beltway sex symbol?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the president of the company
whatever.
could have been considered as CEO.
I'm all in on.
They have a president of the entire company.
Orzagasm.com.
I guess that's where we're going with. All right. Is that all?
Yeah.
Is that how you're
I did
end
my
your
best.
section?
Yeah. No, I'm happy where I ended it.
All right. Here's what I got for you. I actually went through, I know you said weekly, but this is a monthly woke police blotter is what it is.
Okay.
There is so much anti-woke on woke crime, anti-woke on anti-woke crime. It's overwhelming. If you listen to the show on Woke Wednesdays in particular, it's just nonstop.
I'll tell you, we did a corporate theater piece on it yesterday about the decision whether companies are woke or not. And it is, I'm just saying, there's so much nonsense out there. It's hard to even create satire on this because they're already their own satire.
It is satire.
We're trying our best over here, but it's hard.
It's really hard. In fact, go listen to that show yesterday because it was really well done. It's not satire. Here's your monthly woke police blotter for May of 2023. First up, the charges. I organize these by charges. The first set of charges fall under assault with a deadly rainbow. The first arrestee was the Hoover Institute at Stanford.
They have their own Hoover Institute at Stanford?
So the Hoover Institute is traditionally known as an incredibly conservative think tank.
Like a DC think tank, I thought. No?
It's very conservative. It is like a free market kind of thing. It's run out of Stanford. I might be based in DC. I don't know. But their offense was celebrating Pride Month with a flag pin and a woke rainbow on their logo.
Okay.
That was it.
That's it?
That was it.
So we're now relitigating all things gay now. It's not just trans hate. It's all things
anything.
gay. Okay.
Anything. This is a whole category, assault with a deadly rainbow. The Hoover Institute at Stanford, quote, has ceded ground to Stanford's ideological totalitarianism. Rather than firmly standing up for conservative values, Hoover has gone woke. Just to be clear.
Can't believe I'm actually supporting Stanford.
Ground.
I'm actually pro-Stanford on this one. Yeah.
Ceding ground to ideological totalitarianism.
That just sounds like made-up gobbledygook.
Was a lapel pin with a rainbow on it, and a website logo.
Yeah, and we're talking about a private university. I mean, I don't know that their reign of terror is just their private little college they've created.
Also, worth saying, are there no conservative gays out of Stanford?
I've never heard of any of them named Peter Thiel.
There's zero, right? Zero
Mm-hmm.
named Peter Thiel, who literally is funding you, the anti-woke. Second up, the arrestee was... It's all awkward. The arrestee was Ford. Now, we talked about this. Their offense was detailing a car with a rainbow a year ago.
I don't remember this. Okay.
In response to social media outrage at the time about Pride Month. So what happened was 1 year ago... The Ford Motor Company put out something on social media. People were talking trash about gay people. So Ford stood up and said, we're going to make a very gay Raptor. That's what they call it, the VGR. And it was their Raptor truck with a rainbow on it.
Gay?
That was
why not?
pretty much it. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't know. And they would bring it to events to sort of raise awareness about discrimination against gay people that still exists today, the LGBTQ community. That was it. They didn't put it into production. They made like one, and they bring it around.
But
right?
just so I feel safe, but they didn't hand out a can to anybody, right?
No. There were no cans involved. No can was harmed in the making of this truck, okay? Here's the headline. Ford's redefining tough Rainbow Raptor commercial goes viral, sparks online backlash. This month. Someone unearthed it from last year and thought, they've gone woke.
I like this.
It was woke. It wasn't woke a year ago. Or it was woke and everyone was afraid to talk about it because conservatives have no outlets to talk about these things. They don't have all of Fox News, 300 publications, half of social media. It's really tough if you're a conservative to say what you think.
Yeah. The woke mind virus has shut down all conservative outlets.
Communication. That's really, it targets communication.
Yeah, and Twitter was bought by, I think it was Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! She bought Twitter.
I believe so. But now the truck is gay. So Ford got arrested for assault with a deadly rainbow.
So they're just looking for. They're just kind of like going through. They're thumbing through things, looking around.
We're now looking. Okay, so here's the next one, and this is a different charge. The charge is diversity and inclusioneering.
I think I know where you're going with this one. This is my favorite. Okay.
Yeah, this is heinous stuff that they're digging up. The arrestee here is Chick-fil-A.
Oh. So now, okay, this is, I think now we've entered the, I don't even know what part of the movie this is. It's like an Inception where I don't know like what reality we're living in now, right? Like we've come full circle because Chick-fil-A was the original poster child, right, for its homophobia, right?
Chick-fil-A was openly opposed gay marriage and filed briefs against it. They would lobby against it. They are famously closed on Sundays because of their Christian values. In fact, they celebrate Lent for Christians who celebrate Lent by serving fish sandwiches during Lent.
I was hoping
that
they'd lend like curly fries or something.
No. It's that would be something different, not Lent. And this is the headline. Right-wing investment. Oh, wait, sorry. Chick-fil-A sparks anti-woke outrage for VP of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion post.
Wait, for VP of... Okay, that's the headline? For the...
The offense
they're citing
here,
the executive? Okay.
They hired a VP of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, it's already a difficult thing because it's a black man.
At Chick-fil-A. It's a black man at Chick-fil-A. He was hired 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They just realized
he's also just like a normal guy with an MBA. He's not some kind of social justice warrior.
And when I say just realized it, I mean yesterday. Yeah. They literally found this out yesterday. It was circulating on Twitter. They were calling for boycotts of Chick-fil-A because they'd gone woke. This guy has had the job for 3 years. I wonder if they've been going and been like, wow, does your burger taste like more inclusive and slightly gayer than it did 5 years ago? It does to me.
This is a confusing moment for the anti-woke corporation world.
The worst part about Chick-fil-A, not only are they Christian, but they're private. You can't even blame Larry Fink for this.
Well,
Larry Fink cannot be involved.
Okay. Yeah, this is confusing. What do we do about Chick-fil-A?
This is
what are
very
they going to do, you
confusing.
think?
So who made Chick-fil-A gay? We had Larry Fink to blame for every other publicly traded company.
Can I just tell you to all the Bud Light haters out there, which is everybody, that this is they actually have a full DEI statement on their website. And can I just say that this is way worse than handing out a can, because it says very explicitly they do not discriminate based upon sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. So they're full in on this. They're not kidding around. Like they've looked at the issue.
All in.
They've made a decision based on this. They're not just like throwing out something, right? I mean, gender identity, gender expression. That's something.
The deep irony of lobbying against effectively marriage of people with a different gender identity or gender expression and including them in your workforce. This is the needle they're threading. But now they've been arrested.
More importantly,
for diversity and inclusionary.
Because everything's about me. What do I do? So my daughter is famously a fast food fan. And Chick-fil-A was the one place I was like, let's not go to Chick-fil-A, even though, What do I do now? Should I start supporting Chick-fil-A? Okay.
No. The answer is no. The second arrestee in this category is Target.
See, that's another place. She wants to go to Target to get some socks today. So this is another problem.
This one's okay for you to go shop at because their offense was selling things with rainbows on it for the past 11 years. They've been doing this for 11 years.
Okay, I would think longer, but okay.
So much so that CEO Brian Cornell said it fueled DEI fueled 9 years of growth. Yeah. They've been doing this for a decade.
Like excellence.
And
growth.
They just realized, so this is the headline, right-wing investment fund dumps Target stock over woke agenda, adds retailer to refuse to buy list. So the American Conservative Values ETF just divested from it this month. They divested from Target, noting that Target had the same DEI policies, without noting that Target had the same DEI policies, the same Pride Month gear for a decade. They were invested in them.
Can they sue?
And now they're out.
They could sue to get that decade back. And actually, let me ask you this: can Target claw back some of the gains they've made on the growth?
Look, if you were an investor in the American Conservative Values ETF,
you should be mad.
And you should be so mad that you sue them for not doing their due diligence. How could they have overlooked the fact that they had a DEI policy and they've been doing this for 10 years? They've overlooked that. Clearly, they need an ESG data source.
Yeah, so over the last 10 years, 10 years ago, roughly, the Target share price was about $60, and then it went on to peak at about $260 a couple of years ago. So, what about those gains? So, I think that we should give back those gains, right? I'm an investor in American Conservative ETF, right? I should, in protest,
that sounds right.
I think I will hand back my gains.
That sounds right.
And here's my favorite part of this stupid story, is that all the dumb Vivek Ramaswamy's in this world, and I love you, Vivek, you should come back on the show.
Yeah, come back on the show.
You're stupid, I want to have you back. He'll just very conveniently say that, because his whole thing is about excellence, right? That despite the fact that the CEO is saying that the growth was based on the DEI, Vivek would say without the DEI, the growth would have been a little bit more, right?
Yeah, better.
With no evidence to support any of his malarkey, he'll just tell you it would have been better, right?
Look, you have lost excellence.
That's my favorite part of this whole movement is that none of it is evidence based. It's all just nonsense, but.
Speaking of not evidence-based, finally, 2 more arrestees. The charges on these 2 are not manly enough.
Okay.
That's what they got charged with being.
Right.
First arrestee was Lululemon.
Old-fashioned hate. Okay.
Lululemon. The offense was firing 2 female employees who tried to stop thieves. So Lululemon has a store policy that you do not get in the way of thieves because they're worried about the employee safety.
Yeah.
They don't want the employees
Could you imagine
to
tackling some dude because they're stealing like a headband?
So there's two women who basically stood in front of the door as a couple of guys dressed all in black with like face masks
Antifa.
and whatever, grabbed
That's
clothes
Antifa,
and yeah, I think that they didn't say it, but I think they made a black power sign and they also what is there a communist hand symbol? I think they did that.
It was the resurrected Bobby Seale. That's who it was.
So they tried to bar the door. While another employee was just saying, "Get out, just get out, like get out of here." But they were trying to bar the door, so they ended up getting fired because they broke the company policy and put employees potentially at risk.
Interesting.
Here's the headline: Lululemon backlash after firing staff who stopped thieves. Woke go broke. This is what they're saying on Twitter. Lululemon is woke because they don't try to stop thieves.
Wait, so it's woke
that could be armed.
It's woke not for normal citizens not to act like a vigilante police group. That's woke
because they were fired for being vigilante. I mean, look, if we're honest, Lululemon recognizes that the value of their clothes is significantly less than the value of their employees' lives. That's what Lululemon's saying.
Well,
but they're
I think they
woke.
make a good point. No.
Well, they're woke for thinking that.
Yeah.
What they should be thinking is the clothes are the protect your clothes, protect your territory. They didn't do nearly enough manly dick waving.
This is absolutely not silliness. That's silly.
Finally,
absolutely silly.
It's the backlash
can you imagine it?
They're on a ban
Can you imagine
list.
asking
boycott.
like a minimum wage worker to stop thieves from stealing socks?
Yeah, please.
Can you imagine that though?
I want you to tackle that man wearing all black who might be armed because he has vaguely see-through yoga pants that we wanted to sell. That's what they're saying.
I like this.
It's not woke enough. Finally, the final arrestee of the day is Dove, which is actually not Dove.
No, well, Dove is not a company. It's a brand.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
Dove is a brand of Unilever.
Unilever must be woke, right? Because
that's not who's got arrested here. The police blotter just said, the woke police blotter says Dove. It doesn't say Unilever.
Well, one thing I've noticed about conservatives and in the anti-ESG crowd is that they don't know how to trace like brands to the corporate owners. They don't realize that
Google doesn't exist because Google's
so they
woke.
might hate Bud Light, right? But they don't realize that Anheuser-Busch owns Bud Light, and Anheuser-Busch still makes other products that you're still buying because you haven't really figured out the complication of this web. Yeah, right.
All right, but the offense of Dove, Unilever, was there was a fat woman in a fake video game commercial.
Yeah. I don't know what.
Basically, what
that means. Keep going.
Okay, so what they did was they created a commercial in which a CGI woman,
obese, overweight woman,
in a video game, she was wearing these clothes that made her like super thin, like the traditional video game, like large-breasted, no waist woman. So she's in this video game and she's fighting and whatever, and then she goes into her dressing room. She takes off her gear and she's larger, right? Like she's not even like she doesn't look obese. She just looks not like that, right? Like she just looks like a normal human being. And so the video game, the Dove ad is supposed to be like, look. Can we, we've partnered with video game creators to actually have women look like women in video games. They don't all
this sounds a little
have
bit
to
like
look like that,
the
right?
kerfuffle at Miller Lite, yeah.
A little bit like that.
Supporting women too much. That's too much, yeah. It's a step too far.
Here's the headline. Dove produces ultra woke ad to change beauty standards in video games.
Ultra woke. Okay.
I mean, if we're honest, it's a little bit correct that in the 80s and 90s, every girl we ever met, every girl we've ever known, every girl that existed was a size 0. They were all straight and they had sex with me whenever I wanted. That was the 80s and 90s,
the
right?
The image of beauty in the 80s and 90s was attached to a significant eating disorder for women.
Yes, correct.
No, I'm serious.
Correct.
I'm serious.
But this is now ultra woke.
Wait,
so
I didn't.
now
Okay.
Dove's
Maybe I'm
commercials
focusing on the
ultra-woke.
wrong thing. I didn't know that there were shades of degrees of wokeness. It's like pregnancy. I thought you were just woke or you're not woke.
We're now this is ultra woke. So I'm guessing the thieves were just like mildly woke because like you can't expect 2 women employees to really kind of man up and tackle a thief.
Is ultra woke like Whoopi Goldberg? Like you're Jewish, you're black, you're a woman? Is it like that?
Oh wow, no, that's off
that what
the
it means,
scale.
ultra
You just
woke? I don't know what we're
way
talking about
off
anymore.
the scale. I don't even know where you are. That's that's the woke abyss. I don't know what that is.
That was great. Thank you for that.
But this actually occurred to me when I did 1 second of Googling. Unilever also makes Axe body spray, which I don't think anyone would accuse of being
woke. In fact,
woke.
if anything, it might be a hate crime.
Hellman's mayonnaise, is that woke? Is mayonnaise can mayonnaise be woke? And fudgesicles, which, if we're honest, might
I was going to say fudgesicles are technically woke.
That's a little bit woke.
That's
what I got on the police blotter. Yeah, and I have one more thing I want to inform you of on the way out here.
Paul?
Before we go to Paul.
Before we get to Paul, you're too much grandstanding here.
Well, maybe we go to Paul and then we come back to this. Then,
come on.
All right, let's do Paul first.
Hello there. So I thought we'd talk about executive compensation today on S-Gage Statistic of the Week. And we're looking at the S&P 500, and we're looking at some increases in compensation today. Around, what are we looking at? 3/5 of companies have reported so far, and their pay has been analyzed. This is just the CEO we're looking at the moment. And we're talking probably around 400 of the S&P 500. And the mean increase, the average increase in base salary, just for the moment, between 2022 and 2023, that's a filing year, of course. Fiscal 2022 is the pay that's being reported at the moment. The mean increase in base salary was 6.8% last year. And we also have a 10-year increase in base salary for CEOs in the S&P 500. So from 2013 to 2023 of 37.8%. That's over 10 years. So it's an annualized increase of just under 4%. So with 400 companies having reported and only 60% or 3/5 actually receiving a base salary increase, would indicate that there's a fair proportion of CEOs who didn't get a base salary increase in 2023, didn't get a base salary increase in 2022. So the other statistic we're looking at today is the increase in annual bonuses. And again, we're looking at around 400 companies from the S&P 500. And only just under a third, 33.1%, actually reported an increase in bonus. So that would suggest that either a large proportion of CEOs saw their bonus fall in 2022 or didn't report an increase at all, or the bonus was steady. But those who did receive a bonus received a fairly substantial one. 23.2% was the mean or average increase. And again, over the last 10 years, from 2013 to 2023, the overall increase was 85.2%. And that's covering just over 2/5 of companies reported increases during that entire time. So it's an annualized increase of 8.5% in annual bonuses. So relatively modest, although I think the rest of the economy would have been pretty grateful for increases of that level. So this is Paul Hodgson signing off this week for S-Gage Statistic of the Week. And we'll talk to you next week, hopefully, and we'll look at stock award increases, stock option increases, and then increases in total compensation.
All right, I'm going to wrap us up. You ready for this wrap up? All right, I'm going to wrap us up with the music on so I go fast. There's a company, Twilio, that's set to lose super voting protection next month.
How?
Their CEO has dual class shares. They are about to become a not fake public company. They're about to become a real public company because they sunsetted the provisions.
Sunsets. I love sunset laws.
Sunsetted provisions. Here is the actual new influence numbers. CEO Jeff Lawson will go from 77% influence. He owns the company with his voting shares. To Ari sent it to me. He drops to 43%.
Why are we? I want to. Can we bring this up again on our show? Why are we fast tracking this one? I love this kind of stuff.
And then it's split between a bunch of other people.
We'll talk about Twilio again. I like this kind of crap.
That's it. That's our show. That's Damian Rollis. I'm Matt Muscardi. This was Woke Wednesday on Business Pants. We are free float. If you want the data and stuff that we do all the time, get Board Saber Metrics. Just buy it. In fact, the platform is literally imminent, and it has every one of Damian's stories.
I laugh,
and polls.
but it's only because he's been saying that for a few months.
It's just killing me. It's got to come out sometime soon. That's all we got. Come back tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.